Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the WrestleWatch podcast, the only podcast where we discuss free agency in the world of professional wrestling. I am Ryan.
And I am Doug.
Yeah, we're trying out doing this live, so if you're listening in right now on the YouTubes, welcome. We'll try to interact with you and say hey as the stream goes. How are you doing today, Doug?
I'm doing great. I'm trying this in a different spot today. I'm sitting on my porch, just because people are being noisy in the house, and I wanted to enjoy the nice weather because it's a high of 72 today. It's very beautiful outside, so it felt like it was time to just kind of stand outside and take it in. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm just in my usual office drinking coffee.
Well, before we get started,
Yeah.
I have something that I must do.
Okay.
I told you I was going to do this.
I don't remember, so this is good. This is good TV
Okay.
right now.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Donovan Dijak's letter.
Oh.
June 27th, 2024. Here is the truth. WWE never negotiated with me. We attempted to negotiate, and they stonewalled us. They never made me a single offer. Then they informed me that they would not renew my contract at the 11th hour. 2 months ago, I was in one of the best matches in NXT history, and a top match of WrestleMania weekend. On that day, a top executive in WWE told me I was crushing it. I was slated to feud for the NXT title, but I got called up to Raw instead. I consistently outperformed everyone's expectations, especially throughout 2023 and early 2024. I never complained about anything or was difficult to work with. I tirelessly pitched ideas to anyone who would listen, as recently as the day before I was notified. I never once missed a booking, and I was injured one time in 7 years for 3 months. I'm thankful, disappointed, but also excited. This has lit a fire under me to relentlessly prove myself to the world. All I have ever wanted was a fair shot, and now I have the opportunity to go out and take it. That's enough talk. Now it's time to do or die, Jack.
Ooh.
My last day under a WWE contract is June 28th, 2024. Booking/interviews, bookdijak@gmail.com. Get ready to feast your fucking eyes.
Ooh, whoa, hey.
Donovan Dijak.
Language.
I apologize. We'll have to edit that maybe.
Maybe, who knows? Who knows? We're gonna get we never were monetized, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
My cat hasn't sponsored us yet. Wow. That was a dramatic reading.
It was. And we needed to do it because today we're going to be discussing Dijak. But I wanted to get that out of the way first because it needed to be done. There's nothing else to say.
Well, I think that we might have something else to say about Dijak, because I think that he's going to be the first person that we cover this week. Just as a reminder, this is the WrestleWatch free agency tier list. This is as of last week here on your screen. If you're listening to the audio version, imagine a tier list. Put it in your memory palace. So the first person that we're going to be talking about, though, this week is, of course, Dijak. He officially has left WWE. He just made his first indie appearance as well. I believe that it was with Blitzkrieg Pro. I believe that was the promotion, which interesting name. What are your thoughts on Dijak there, Doug? Where do you think that what do you think is going to happen with him?
I think that he's going to end up somewhere, whether that is going to be in AEW or TNA. I think those are the two likely destinations. Frankly, if AEW is interested, I think he's going to go to AEW. And the main reason that I say that is because he's obviously an incredible talent. We laugh about him. He's obviously had, years of being obnoxious on social media, to the point where he became kind of a joke. But at the same time, and he was someone who was always trying to make the best out of the worst situation, when he's constantly put in situations where he, whether he was in the group Retribution that didn't really go very well for him, and he was, making T-bar jokes and stuff like that about the ratings. The bottom line is, he is someone who he's going to end up somewhere. And I think, and here's the thing: people talk about, oh, well, he had these issues with Kenny Omega and stuff like that. It's like, these are people just working. They're just working. And I think that I will say this though: I do think the problem is, he probably sees himself as a bigger deal than he's probably going to get pushed, unless he goes to TNA, where he would probably be pushed as a major talent. But in AEW, he's also probably, I just don't see the room, which is probably why he got cut in WWE in the first place. It's just that there's no room for him. There's no room for him to move up, and I don't know that that's necessarily going to change in AEW. Having said that, I think AEW, I could see them grabbing him, absolutely.
Yeah, so here's my thing. I definitely think that there's not enough room for him in AEW. It sucks for him, but like, that's just how I feel about it. It's interesting because people keep on bringing up that they think that his triple threat for the NXT North American title from Stand Deliver this year was the best match on the weekend. I don't think it was, but like, people think that. So he has a little bit of a buzz behind him about his wrestling prowess, which is good for him. Good for him. But I don't think that he has enough going for him to separate himself in AEW, unfortunately. But I do see the potential in TNA. The reason why I'm personally saying that he should be in C tier this week is because I think that there's equal odds of him just staying on the indies. I believe it was Mustafa Ali was like reacting to Dijak's little letter that you dramatically read for us today, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, we got to run back the Retribution stuff," and I don't see that happening anywhere except for some indie. Like, that's like, when I just think about it in my mind's eye, I'm like, where would Dijak do a Retribution tongue-in-cheek revival? It's an indie, maybe.
I don't think he was. I think he was saying, just all those people that were in Retribution. A lot of them are, released at this point.
I think literally everybody's been released at least once, I believe.
Yeah. Like Mia Yim might be the only one.
Well, she got released, but she came back. She got better.
Okay.
Yeah, she did the whole I'm not dead yet thing.
Yeah. And I think he's referring to the idea. Hey, let's do something together. That's not stupid. And I think that. And I see your point. And I also think Mustafa Ali is another example where it's just like, we had kind of high expectations for what he might do, and I don't know that his indie run has necessarily been as successful as I think a lot of us were thinking it was going to be, because I don't think he's been able to capture the buzz that a lot of bodies going to be able to capture. So would Dijak be any different? I don't know. I think that if he goes somewhere, he'll go to TNA, sure, and they would push him. He'd be a top star. I believe that. If he went there.
Yeah.
If he went to AEW, I don't know where he would fit in.
Yeah.
At this point. So we'll see.
Somebody in our chat here has said Dijak to New Japan is the move. Doug, do you think that Dijak in New Japan would work?
Yeah, that would work. The only issue is honestly, that probably really well. But I just don't know how many. Okay, I don't know if he's going to go there or who wants to go there long term. I could see him doing some one-offs. I could see him maybe popping up in some type of
Like a
some type of small tour.
Like
I would like some people say like oh maybe he'll be in the G1. It's like they're pretty exclusive with who they're handing out G1 spots. They're not just throwing that out to anyone anymore. And I don't know that they would give him that.
Yeah.
So I could see him like would he do something like in the Tag League? Would he have someone that would him and Mustafa Ali in Tag League? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he would get over in New Japan.
Uh-huh.
The problem is is New Japan the place to get the buzz in? I don't know. I mean, I think he I think he could. But I'm thinking of someone like Bronson Reed and how he got over and he could get over the same way he did for sure. Like I could see Dijak getting over the same way he did in New Japan. But I think he would honestly have a better chance of doing something a little bit more outside the box, maybe going to Noah. Or maybe going to All Japan, just because those companies that seem to be doing stuff a little bit more interesting. I think Kiyomiya is arguably he's been on a fantastic run just in terms of match quality, even if he's maybe he's not necessarily lighting the world on fire, but I think he's been fantastic. And I think something like that would be an interesting twist if you did it that way.
Yeah, so for the purposes of the tier list, my vote is C. What's your vote there, Doug, then?
I believe I went A. And I think that I understand your argument that he might do the indie thing for a while, but I just don't know that the current environment is going to be conducive to someone doing just like the super indie run, because I don't know if the indies are the same anymore. Like I guess we'll see what Trevor Lee does. I think he'll be the test case for that.
Well, I would say that the thing is that it's not necessarily whether or not that is the thing to do. It's whether or not that's the thing that Dijak will have to do. I think.
In the sense that you don't think that he'll be able to get someone from TNA or AEW to offer him a deal that's worth it?
I don't think AEW is going to offer him a deal that's worth it at all. Like, he's not. I don't think that he's going to get a long-term contract with AEW personally. But also, we see a note here. You might have some echo there on your mic there, Doug. By the way. But yeah. So I personally think that I think it's 50-50 on whether or not somebody like a TNA or signs him. I'm not so sure about something like AEW, maybe ROH, but I think that'd be pay per appearance, just like we're going to talk about in a little bit about another set of acts that have been released from WWE around this time as well. So how did the voters go? Well, our committee has decided that Dijak belongs up in B tier. So, hey, we split the difference between the two of us, A and C. Dijak now resides up in B tier. I guess happy Pride Month, Dijak.
Yay. Yeah, I think one of the things that you could say about Dijak is that he could be in AEW under some type of Leo Rush deal. Oddly enough, the person he's right next to on the chart. If he would be willing to do something like that.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's willing to work without a contract.
Well, yeah, and that's what you were kind of talking about right beforehand, was that it seems like he has a little bit of pride about himself, which good for him, but like he might overvalue himself as he's coming off now. But at the same time, like he's being pushed right now in the media narrative, I suppose is the best way of putting it, as somebody that's intriguing. Like he just did he did the ceremonial first interview as a free agent with Sean Ross Sapp. So I could see it. I could see him showing up somewhere hot, but I think at the same time, I don't know if he would look at an offer of just paper appearance proudly and happily.
Maybe. Well, here. You said June 28th, if you remember from my dramatic reading, correct?
Yes.
So he could be on Forbidden Door tonight.
Okay, so is that the most forbidden of doors that they could have picked, though?
I mean, listen. If he shows up and he starts like a tag team with Gabe Kidd, I'm not gonna boo that.
Well, that would be on the pre-show, so everybody watch it on just on the same platform that you're watching this podcast stream on YouTube. That's where Dijak is gonna end up. It sounds like. So yeah, that's Dijak in B tier. Next up for this week, we have Gigi Dolin. We're gonna talk about here. Reportedly, she has torn her ACL. There were some reports that were just saying it was a major injury. I believe it was Dave Meltzer that said reportedly a torn ACL, and she's going to be out indefinitely. We had her in F tier because we noticed that there seems to be a trend of her not being featured as much in NXT. She wasn't one of the names that was getting called up via the draft this last round, although, as we just saw with Dijak, being drafted up might have been a sentence for them to just use it as a way to sit on your contract, because then they wouldn't have to feature you on NXT. But still, regardless, we were thinking about Gigi Dolin possibly being a jump due to all of that. Personally, I think that just because there's a lack of imminence, I think that we should take her off the tier list for now. What do you think, Doug?
I still think that she is someone that has obviously she's not been presented, as well in WWE as she was before when she was part of Toxic Attraction. And I'm not saying well as in saying that was bad. I mean well as in the sense that she was doing a lot more with at that time, and it seemed like she had a little bit more direction, more story, and I think she's a phenomenal talent. I think that's one thing that's really understated with her, or overstated with her. No, understated. It was just how good she is, because before she even signed, I remember she was having a nice little indie run leading up to her eventual signing with WWE, where she had some matches with Thunder Rosa. That were really well known, and I think it was on that one of those NWA shows.
Yeah,
shows that were kind of like NWA, like those was like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Or, I don't remember exactly. It was an NWA title match on with Thunder Rosa that I remember was phenomenal. She had some great matches with Kylie Ray on the Indies. Like she had at a time when there really weren't any standout women's matches on the Indies going on. She was part of some really fantastic ones.
Yeah,
and she has that potential. I think that if she wanted to go somewhere else, she could. Now, the counter to that is, she kind of had the opportunity in AEW, but for whatever reason, I don't think a contract offer ever came to her way, because she had worked on pay per appearance. She was on that one Dynamite that was on the Jericho cruise. She was in an all out, I think the first all out like women's battle royal. So she's had opportunities. They just didn't. They just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So maybe that. But at the same time, I don't really see them letting her go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep her at F tier for now, because I do think there's a reason to have her on the tier list, especially if she gets released. Not saying I think they're going to do that, especially if she's out with an ACL. But I'll still keep her at F, just because you never know.
Yeah, so I think just because of lack of imminence, that it's probably best just to take her off. That's my view, because we're trying to look at it from a year out standpoint, and with a torn ACL, I'm not 100% sure at all, or well, let's use it tier list terms. I don't know if I'm even 10% sure that within a year she'll be leaving NXT or WWE's contract. So that's my view on it. Let's see.
Yeah. And I might change my mind on that eventually. If it is getting to the point now where it seems kind of silly to have her around there. But as of right now, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we took her off. So that's how the committee decided on that one, was that Gigi should not be on the tier list at all anymore. Yeah, so how about we go on to the next people, which is the Hardys. Yeah, they're back in TNA. So it came up with the Hardys to vote on them to reconsider their position on the tier list. Right now they're in B tier. Just because we're thinking, hey, maybe first off, we're like, I think that now we can confidently say they're a unit again for their contract status. The second point there is that it seems that they've made a bit of a home for themselves in TNA by the point of like Rebby. There she is on screen with Matt. That's what she's looking like now. She's competing in TNA in a match with Matt.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
Yeah, that is what's been held back from creative at AEW was getting Rebby Hardy on the shows. I don't think there's anywhere else, any of the other promotions that we consider for WrestleWatch, which are AEW, ROH, Stardom, New Japan, WWE, and TNA. I don't think that there's any other one of those promotions that would have done that. And I think that says a lot about their status in TNA.
Yeah, they have a lot of creative freedom, obviously.
Yeah, they have more creative freedom than I thought was possible.
Let's be honest here. It's like that is whether or not you liked the broken Matt stuff. It's very clear that they've always had this excessive amount of creative freedom at this time. So I'm in this company. So I'm not stunned that this is happening. It obviously got them a lot of buzz. I think it's questionable whether or not the broken Matt stuff actually moved business in any way. It became kind of it got some internet buzz, obviously, but I don't know what that really translates to. So if frankly, right now, that's what TNA wants to try to do to build up themselves. I mean, I think this partnership with WWE is going to do way more than anything that they could do with Matt Hardy and his family.
Well, as long as WWE actually sends them big talent, because so far WWE has just sent some like mid-range TNA talent. Like, no offense to any of them, but none of them were upper carders competing for their top titles.
The NXT talent, you mean?
The NXT talent going to TNA. Yeah, it's just been up like mid-carders, and TNA's sending some of their best and brightest. Like some of the most over people they have, like Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry is so over. Hey, there he is, smiling on the screen right now. So as you say his name and he appears. Well, he already appeared. He's a time traveler too, and now it seems that's part of his gimmick, I guess.
NXT's not sending their best.
No, NXT is not sending their best, and it's kind of disappointing to see because you would really hope that maybe they were going to take it seriously enough, but maybe that's how seriously they're taking it, So it's disappointing to me though so far because like I would have hoped for more for TNA's end for the relationship. But yeah, it's in theory, it's a much bigger opportunity for TNA, I think, to be pushing that kind of stuff than pushing Matt's creative freedom. Good for him. Good for him. But it's not, I don't know if it's going to be the kind of thing that's going to recapture viewers for them.
Yeah. I agree, and I think
there's a market for it, though.
Yeah. I think there is, but it's relative to TNA. Like, okay, kind of like what I mean. I'm not. You can't have unrealistic expectations on what it's going to do for TNA. I think it'll. A lot of people groan the Hardys TNA, but that is kind of it. Probably will help. It will help promotion. I just don't think it's going to be world changing or anything.
Yeah, totally agree. So. Personally, because of all of this, I was thinking that we should move the Hardys up to A tier, because I feel like I think that the relationship with TNA is pretty much solidified to the point of almost being like official, certain, locked and loaded, long-term deal. How are you feeling, Doug, on where they're currently placed? They're currently in B tier.
I'm pretty sure I voted for A tier as well. I think that they need to. I think it's pretty clear at this point that they're probably going to be in TNA for the long term. And I imagine that if they haven't done so yet, a contract is coming.
Yeah. So, unfortunately for us, we're not the only two people on this committee. We're just the hosts that run everything. So the Hardys are staying in B tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. Listen, I think that's
it was about.
I don't think that's going to be that awful. I understand.
Yeah, it was about a 50-50 feeling from everybody. So I think that I think things are headed in that direction, at least in perception in the public. That I think soon enough we'll be seeing them probably taken off the tier list entirely at some point soon.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Next up here, I'm going to talk about the Motor City Machine Guns briefly. So S tier, if I go back here, S tier is supposed to be for imminent debuts. It's people that we know have signed in a promotion. We're just waiting for them to debut, essentially. So right now in S tier, we have Camille and the Motor City Machine Guns. Recently, we also had Jacob Fatu in S tier. We had Tamatonga in S tier. Eric Rowan was also in S tier recently. So those are the kinds of people that we're looking at as S tier kind of talent. Like we're just waiting on them to debut.
Yeah.
The Motor City Machine Guns are a little bit different in my opinion, and that's why I wanted us to discuss them this week, because I thought that it was a little premature to put them up in S tier. I think that I have not seen any reports of a contract actually being signed yet with AEW. It's just a lot of rumor and speculation and innuendo, if you will, that they will be going to AEW. So that's why I putting them up for discussion for this week's episode of WrestleWatch. How do you feel, Doug, about them being an S tier?
I think they should still be an S tier, and I'll explain why. If you take a look at some of the people we've had like floundering in S tier for a long time, like Mercedes Moné. She was someone that we knew it was imminent that she was going to be ending up somewhere. It was imminent. Whether or not the paper was signed, we knew it was happening. And I think with the Motor City Machine Guns, I think it's also still imminent. Is it going to be like tonight? I don't think so. But I think it's going to be really soon. So I'm fine with her. I'm fine with them being S tier. Me personally, like the difference to me, the difference between A tier and S tier. I think the Hardys are a perfect example where they're someone that like we're pretty sure that there's going to be a contract done soon, but the Hardys also could still be working just kind of pay per date or doing something along those lines. There could be a reason they don't want to necessarily sign. Motor City Machine Guns, I'm fairly certain, there's a contract done. I think that it feels like it's pretty much done, and they're just waiting for the right moment, waiting for something else. I'm confident having them in S, to be completely honest. I really am.
Yeah.
So that's just me.
Okay, well, I've stated my case, and you've rejected all of it. So let's see how everybody else felt with it. It was, again, pretty much a 50-50 split, but we're keeping them in S tier. When and where do you think that they're going to be debuting then, Doug? Because I've seen some people saying, they've been waiting around for them to show up in AEW for a while. I think we can agree on that one. That's probably AEW, right, Doug?
Yeah, I think they're going to be in AEW.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I could see them holding them off until like All Out.
That's a while.
It is a while, but it's. But I mean, listen. Is it though? Actually, I think it's really a while because it's already. It's basically July. So it's a couple more months. And
yeah, it's 2 months.
And here's my argument. They have this entire build to Wembley coming up, and to me it feels like All Out is sort of like it's becoming the New Year dash to Wembley, where they set up everything new. for the following year, and then the next angles, stuff like that. It seems like All Out is a good place to start debuting people to kind of set the stage for what's to come next. So I think I would do All Out. Otherwise, it just feels like they're going to get lost in the shuffle of everything going on, going on to Wembley. So that's what I would do, and that's where I think they're going to go.
Yeah, my thing with the whole, I just wish that they were there now, because I would far prefer that to what we're probably going to get at Wembley for the tag titles, which seems like it's probably going to be the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed, and that they're going to drag this Acclaimed Young Bucks story out for the next month or two. I'm not looking forward to. They're going to probably... So tonight on Forbidden Door, they'll be having them in a trios match against each other, and I'm sure that they're going to put the Acclaimed in the Blood and Guts match, which will be, I believe that's July 24th, which means that there'll be another month after. So we'll have a month of them building up this Blood and Guts match, and then a month after that of them building up a Wembley match, and it's going to be 3 essentially pay-per-view cycles in a row of the Acclaimed and the Young Bucks. Right.
Well, and
I think that there are more interesting things to do with the tag titles, personally.
Right. And that's I think the Acclaimed have gotten a little stale in AEW. But I think it's maybe even run its course. But I think that you kind of laid out exactly what I think is going to happen, and that's exactly why I think we're not going to see the Motor City Machine Guns until All Out.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I just wish it was different. But this is in WrestleWish. This is WrestleWatch. So,
absolutely.
Let's chat about another tag team then. How about we talk about the Maximum Male Models, or formerly known as Maximum Male Models, MXM. So they chat a lot. They stream. They talk to everyone. They did a little interview with Dijak this past weekend even. But in between that, sometimes it seems that they're professional wrestlers as well, which is great for them. They visit. Go ahead.
Yeah, they generated some buzz. They've done some things. They're the ones who helped bring to light the bucket system in WWE, which I thought was fascinating. But having said that, I think they are. They're acts that I think are going to they would do well in ROH if that's kind of the plan. Because especially when I think of the tag team titles right now in ROH. Like right now, Bennett and Taven have them, and I almost completely forget that they have them.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's because I'm sure that they appear far more statistically than it feels like on ROH, but it feels like they don't ever show up on ROH TV every week. Yeah. It just doesn't feel like it.
I think the ROH, obviously, we're not gonna talk. We're not gonna do a whole segment on what's wrong with ROH, because I don't. That's not really what we do here. But I will say this: I think ROH is a promotion right now that would probably benefit from having some more names that are exclusively ROH.
Yeah, some more separation.
And then people that are actually kind of a little bit more known. Because right now it's like in ROH. I mean, you guys say this with
your audio cut out completely there, Doug.
Completely fair. It's not like I'm. You got Athena and Billy Starks, obviously.
Doug, your audio cut out completely there. So after you talked about what folks that they have in ROH, it just cut out.
Oh yeah, it's just my internet's unstable. That's not good. Okay. And maybe it's just cut for a second. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the last thing I said? I said.
You had said you literally just said, like, here are the talent in ROH, and then you cut out.
Okay. Well, what I was basically saying is you take a look at the talent in ROH that are exclusive, like Athena or Billy Starks. I think that the promotion could benefit from having more people like that are just there. But I think that these guys would probably be a good. They'd be good for ROH. I think they'd be a good test case for that, because I don't think they're so large and so popular and so big that they they feel almost too big for it. But they're also known well enough that I think they could maybe generate a little bit of buzz. Having said that, I'm probably not watching ROH just because that's a whole other show. I think that maybe we need to maybe talking about ROH is and just like it's as a location, as a landing spot, and what it means. Maybe that's a whole other discussion for another day. Maybe during a slow week we can have that discussion. But I do think that they could be. I could see them in ROH.
Yeah. So the news that happened this week with them. Previously, we thought that they were going to be. It sounded like they were going to be appearing on Collision, and they didn't actually appear on Collision. They were just visiting AEW. But it seemed that there were video packages and like the Contron were all prepared for them theoretically to wrestle on Ring of Honor last week. They've also previously talked to TNA, just for the record, as well. That's another possible place that they could end up. Yeah, my feeling on the situation is that I think that it is as likely for them just to be bouncing around the indies, as we were talking about with Dijak a little bit earlier, as it is for them to get a full-term contract. They're another kind of like team of people that like I think it's possible that they just get some pay-per-appearance offers, and I think that they're going to be the types that are going to be happier about that kind of offer. Whereas I think Dijak might be a little bit, he might be expecting a nice, healthy offer, like a full-term contract.
I agree.
Just vibes based, So I think they could end up with ROH if they want to go there, and I do agree that I think that ROH needs to do a little separation of what their identity is, and solidify themselves, which might be coming with any kind of media rights deal, which I think that might be something that we can chat about at the end of this episode, is the media rights stuff with AEW. Because there was some updates about that this week.
Well, we'll put a pin in the ROH discussion because I do want to talk about what ROH needs to do or could do, especially just in terms of being a viable landing spot for people. So maybe we'll do that another day. But I think we can talk media rights at the end.
Yeah. So where do you think MXM should be on the tier list?
I believe I voted C, just because I kind of go either way with them.
Yeah, I also went for C. And let's see how our committee members all voted. Everybody voted for C. They're all feeling 50-50 about them. Yeah. Which is, I think, the correct spot. I mean, I just said that that's where I voted, so that's obviously the correct spot for MXM. Next up, any other thoughts on MXM at the current moment?
No, I think we're good.
It's your boy.
All right. Listen. I don't need to go over this again. Like I've said, it feels like on a weekly basis I'm talking about Ricky Starks and how I think that he's leaving. I've been saying that for forever. I think that he is someone who is a generational talent, and I say that at a time when the term generational talent is being thrown around way too much. Like way too much. Like I to the point where I'm almost going to stop saying that term because I hate it now because it's overused. But the fact that we're using, I saw someone today tell me that Blair Davenport was a generational talent. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy Blair Davenport. I enjoyed Bea Priestley's run in Stardom when she had the red belt, and a lot of people were critical of it. But I think we're using generational talent a little bit too much. But I do think Ricky Starks is a generational talent. And I think that he is someone that right now in AEW, he just there's the top of the card in AEW is just too full. There's no room for him to break through any higher than he is. I think he could in WWE. I think that he is someone that absolutely could. I could think of storylines where he would work really well with the top of the card. I can think of a lot of different things to do. I'm not going to go into all of those. But he is someone that going to WWE makes so much sense. The only reason that I think that he may not is if if Tony Khan wants to keep him so bad that he just offers him a money offer to not go, that he can't refuse. And that might happen, but that's literally the only reason I could see that happening. Otherwise, I think he's gone.
Well, just so that we give some context of why we're even talking about him this week.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Which has been debunked, or not debunked. I shouldn't say it's been debunked, but it's been countered.
Yeah, that's why I've listed it as rumors and counter rumors. There were rumors about some issues that Ricky Starks had in Calgary. So I'm just going to start this off by saying it did not pass the smell test whatsoever to me when it came out. And there are people that were trying to push this as being real. And I think that there are a lot of people that just don't want Ricky Starks in AEW. And that's why this got so much buzz.
Yeah. And I'll say this. So the story is that he supposedly got arrested in Calgary, got in a bar fight or something. That was what the rumor was.
It was after the Owen Cup final. So he wins the Owen. This is the story. This is the full context of the story. Is that he wins the Owen Cup, and that he is so mad about how things are going in AEW that he goes to a bar and gets drunk and he gets in a bar fight, and he gets arrested.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Now, I had a friend from Canada who had said that he had heard something similar. So part of me maybe thought that there was something there, but it sounds like a lot of this stuff has now just been straight up debunked or straight up denied to the point where I feel pretty confident saying that it didn't happen. And let's be honest, like if something like this involving the police and him getting arrested actually happened, I think we would have a record of it, especially by now. Yeah, you would have had David Bixenspan would have done some Freedom of Information Act thing months ago and would have had it.
Yeah, so that's the thing with all this is that some people were like, well, maybe Tony Khan paid off people to make it so that you didn't get arrested, and then nobody talked about it. And then it's like, but the people that are pushing this rumor are the people saying that I was there. So they're saying that they sat on this for a year for no reason other than just to sit on it for a year. Like, it's not like they were threatened. They weren't paid off. This isn't some kind of like they were assaulted and they fear for their life to not talk about it. It's just random people anonymously online claiming something happened, and then we just hearing this woodwork of just some random people like WrestlePeers being like, yeah, I heard something like that. But why would none of you talk about this then? And then if it is an actual issue, why, number one, how did Ricky Starks get back into Canada if he got arrested for a drunken bar fight? That's not how immigration works for Canada. Usually they are very terse and stern about anything involving alcohol related stuff. Like, if you have a DUI on your record and you're coming from America to Canada, and this happened to me many times, not me personally, but I've been with somebody in the car with me who has had a DUI. I'm driving, they're not driving. We get stopped at Border Patrol. We have to go in. They get interviewed. They get taken to this a holding cell to get interviewed by Border Patrol for 30 minutes about their DUI and how they're going to definitely not drive when they're in Canada, and they're really harping on them about the dangers of drinking and driving and drinking in general. That is immigration for Canada, for going into Canada. If Ricky Starks got arrested for a bar fight in Calgary, he's probably having some troubles enough that he wouldn't appear in Canada again a month later with AEW. And also, if that happened, I doubt that Ricky Starks then would have gotten a marquee match at All Out with Bryan Danielson, or gotten a tag title run. They probably would have been like, wow, this guy is damaged goods. We're not going to touch him anymore. I would think that, at least. And that's the second part of this entire thing is that allegedly he's been too busy being drunk to respond to pitches, and that he'll just sit on pitches while he's at bars. That's legitimately what this rumor was saying. It was saying that he was going to bars and ignoring calls.
It was snowballing.
It was snowballing.
The snowballing rumor was getting more and more ridiculous. And it was a game of telephone where I think it got completely out of control.
That's been refuted both by AEW sources that he is turning down pitches, and I believe it was Voice of Wrestling was the ones that went really hard into it yesterday, about saying
debunking it.
about debunking it. Yeah, because especially the part where he's turning down pitches, because they pointed out that Ricky Starks does not have creative control. He doesn't. He can't actually say no, and like it's just the final word. If Tony Khan wants him to go on TV and wrestle Big Bill and lose to Big Bill, Tony Khan, if he really wants it to happen, can force his hand and either say you're going to do this match or I'm going to release you with like calls. And well, it didn't happen. Why? Because like I think it's not a good story. Like I think Ricky Starks was right that they should not have done a big breakup angle with Big Bill. I think what Big Bill is doing now, where just like a clean like osmosis break, and Big Bill is like lost in the woods, and then he finds the learning tree. That's been fun so far.
And I think here's the other thing to keep in mind with this. If Ricky Starks was pitched something by Tony Khan, and he says that I don't like this, I think this is a bad idea, and then Tony Khan just doesn't do it. Yeah, that's not turning down a pitch. That's just giving his opinion. And now I'll say this though: if Tony Khan is setting up an environment where if you turn down a pitch, you just get ghosted, and then they don't talk to you for a while, and you don't hear anything beyond that. I don't know that that's necessarily really good either.
Yeah, not necessarily.
Like if that's what's happening, where it's like if you have any. If you question something and then they say, okay, sure. And then they don't talk to you for a month. I mean, that's not, I don't know that that's necessarily what's happening, but if it is, that's not good either. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. But I do think that is, I think we'll hear more. Obviously, we're going to hear more eventually.
Yeah, I just think that a lot of the buzz about Ricky Starks leaving AEW is being based in this "we don't want him" feeling from certain people in fandom, rather than necessarily based off of like, we have these reports and we think that it's going to happen, and here's his contract status, and like you were saying, like I think that he could work better in WWE. He might have a higher ceiling, more potential for getting up the card. Those kinds of things. That's valid, but I think that a lot of it is boiling down to just people that are just done with their like perception of what Ricky Starks is. But anyway, I voted B tier because I think still that it's about 50% chance that within a year he's gone and going to WWE. Like I think that still is probably going to happen. I think that you still were feeling A tier. Maybe you were feeling up to A.
I may have voted B, but just because of everything is so up in the air right now. But I was waffling between A and B. So there are times where I vote A and there are times I vote B. But I think he's in that general range right now.
Well, I believe that our committee decided to keep him exactly where he is, and you'll see him right there next to Grizzly Young Veterans in B tier. Also, just for reference for people, we tried to keep it chronologically of who has been in the tier the longest is the first name. So, Grizzly Young Veterans and Ricky Starks have been in B tier for quite some time now at this point. But yeah, that's what we're looking at with Ricky Starks then. I think that we only have a few more names to go through for today's episode, and one of them, it's Shane McMahon. We have to talk about him. It's a segment where we seriously discuss the odds of Shane O'Mac returning to TNT after 23 long years since he was on that final episode of Nitro. I remember I was watching TV. I watched that live.
I think I was
weird.
I think I had stopped watching wrestling at that point. I think I was done then because I was at least I was I think I was done then because around like sometime in like 2000 that was where I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah, this.
So I think I had stopped before then.
Yeah, this was in 2001, and It was definitely a moment. I remember watching that last episode of Nitro. I remember Sting versus Flair, all those things, and wow, that was such a crazy moment. That all that was, and it could have had more potential. And they kind of floundered the invasion angle, I think, but and some of the talent that they got from WCW, but maybe that was the point. So why are we talking about Shane McMahon? Is because recently, a few weeks ago, there was a report that he had chatted with some AEW talent. I think it was JR talked about this on his podcast. He was talking to some talent about the possibility of coming to AEW. Tony Khan was then asked about it at the media call this past Thursday for Forbidden Door, and he gave his standard, "I love him, yeah, it'd be great," kind of response.
It was very clear that this was something that he would not have talked about if it was not brought up.
Yeah, like I cannot see this happening. Would it be fun though if it's like one appearance by Shane and then like the Young Bucks just like cold clock him after saying like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be buddies. Yeah, you're gonna help us invade this company too," and then they just turn on him? That could be fun, but
Yeah,
it's gonna be a long-term thing in AEW ever.
I don't think I've. Okay, let me say this. I don't think it's happening.
Yeah.
I don't think Shane is going to work AEW because I don't think there's any hint of that. Having said that, there's a slim chance that I think there's a scenario where Tony Khan could be convinced to do something goofy. And because of that, I would consider leaving him on F tier for just like a month, just to see what happens.
Yeah,
but I'm fine with him just not being on the tier list because I really don't think anything major is happening.
Yeah, I think that as far as it goes, it's going to be only meme potential for the reason why they would bring him in, and I would be worried about the counter perception issue of this is jumping the shark, which I might not disagree with if they do it, is the problem.
No, they absolutely could be doing something stupid like that, and just because I could see them doing, stupid things every now and then. But I don't think it would be. I think he would be like a Danhausen. He would be a Danhausen in AEW.
Yeah, but like, actually, Shane might have more in-ring skills. But yeah, I just don't think it's happening. We had to talk about it because like that's the structure of this week's episode is that we're going to talk about each person that was up for consideration of our WrestleWatch committee.
Having said that, if they did bring Shane in and had him just dress up as Danhausen and everyone just pretends it's Danhausen, I would probably I would watch that.
Yeah, and then Danhausen does a coast to coast drop kick. Yeah.
Yes.
I would love that. But that being said, he's not joining the tier list. He's not. The tier list looks the same at this segment. That's just how it is with Shane McMahon. I'm sorry to the Shane-O-Maniacs that were expecting him to wrestle tonight at the UBS Silverdome in front of 100,000 screaming Shane-O-Maniacs. It's not happening, I think. And something that might happen is the Street Profits. Their contracts are up this summer even, which is pretty surprising, I would think, given their longevity in WWE, given the relation to one Bianca Belair. But their contracts are up this summer, and I think that there are still some odds of them leaving WWE just because of, they've been there for a while. Their contracts are coming up. They're in that kind of tier of a lot of these guys that have had their contracts either expire because WWE wasn't actually trying to negotiate with them, or they just are choosing to leave WWE at this point. And WWE has not been having such a big focus on tag wrestling since ever, anyway. But I think that there's some possibility of them finding a nice gap in other promotions in tag wrestling. So that's why I'm putting them up for a little bit of a discussion here today with you, Doug. Doug, what are your thoughts about Street Profits?
I think there's a valid argument for having them at F tier. I genuinely do, just because their contracts are coming up. But now having said that, I do think that it would need to be a very big surprise if they go. And the reason I say, obviously they invest a lot in Bianca Belair and Ford, and they kind of build up this relationship. I think they do like reality show type things with them and everything. So it's like they invested in them. They are invested in this couple.
Yeah.
Having so but having said that, I would not be stunned if an offer was made to them, especially if it was also to try to get to persuade Bianca Belair to jump over. Because let's be honest, Bianca Belair has not exactly had a fantastic year. She's doing the tag stuff with Jade, which is
which might have accidentally ended rather than planned ended.
Yeah. But and before that, it's she was just kind of floundering a bit. It seems like they really they didn't want to make any major adjustments to her character at a time when she probably really needed it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Like I think that it's a situation where the company WWE has invested so much into Bianca Belair as a character and a persona and just someone they want to build around, and especially with the family tie as well. So I don't see it happening. Having said that, I don't know what Tony Khan would offer.
Yeah.
Like would he fight for both of them? And then would he fight for Montez Ford? Because here's something. Let's take Belair out of this completely, because I know, because I usually don't try to. I try not to do this thing where I try to think what the spouse would do. I try to just focus on the talent themselves. So looking at the Street Profits themselves, I think they are a talented act.
Yeah,
and I think that they could do well in AEW. I just don't know how much Tony Khan would fight for them.
Yeah. I would say two things. One, just on that previous note about the relationship thing. The show is called Love in WWE, Bianca and Montez. It's on Hulu, if you guys want to check it out. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of how people were saying, well, Cody Rhodes was on Roads to the Top, and people were speculating that him not signing his contract was a storyline for Roads to the Top. I think that so just putting that on its own little island is just that there is an investment in Montez Ford outside of Justin Wrestling. There is a diversification effort for his profile. Whether that is with his wife or not, that's for other people to speculate if he wouldn't be getting that kind of look otherwise. But the fact of the matter is that he's getting a little bit of a push as a person outside of the wrestling environment as well by WWE. So that's one little nugget. Regarding the tag potential for them in other promotions, I definitely see it, because I think that they're very skilled tag team. They've been at the top of the pile in WWE. They're essentially, if we're looking at tag wrestling and just tag wrestling and not singles wrestling, they are, upper carders of tag wrestling. So by that measure, I think that if another promotion is looking at trying to beef up their tag division, they are easily somebody that you have to go after.
And here's the other thing that I want to just kind of jump in real quick. I often will say, I think people overestimate what WWE is willing to offer. Like, people think they're going to throw tons of money at these people, and I think that WWE is a company that really tries to, control its costs, control its labor budget. So I always say that I think that people. I think it's not that difficult for Tony Khan to outbid WWE, and I think it happens quite often. Having said that, I just really believe that they seem to be invested in this couple.
Yeah.
And that's in this particular situation. That's why I'm bringing up Bianca so much, because I think they're invested in the couple.
Yeah. Like it's their new Total Divas kind of package to try to push, and that. Yeah. Like, and that does mean still that they're invested in Montez as a person, also in that regard. Just not necessarily. It's not necessarily only about Bianca, but it's about the couple and that he's part of the couple.
Yes.
So I think that we're in agreement that F tier feels right for the Street Profits. Is that what you're saying there, Doug?
Yeah, I'd go F tier.
Okay, well, good news. They're going in F tier.
All right.
Yeah. I made an executive decision based off of how everybody else was feeling on it. But hey, we're the two that matter because we're the two recording. So
now, I'll say this: if Montez Ford signs with WWE and they don't offer Angelo Dawkins one, I'm sorry for Angelo Dawkins, but I'm probably not putting him on the tier list.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely not. And then I think that our final person to chat about today is Zilla Fatu. So this is a little bit of an interesting one, I would say. Zilla is, well, he's a member of the bloodline, obviously, because he's a Fatu. So is he going to show up in the bloodline? That's the question. His cousin Jacob Fatu officially joined this past week. And Zilla's been showing up in GCW for the last maybe year now. He was being trained by Booker T previously, but now he's been showing up in GCW a lot. And it seems like he's getting a good push there. Doug, what do you think of the odds of Zilla Fatu ending up in somewhere very soon, somewhere very big, possibly?
I think they're pretty high.
Yeah.
But I don't know how imminently. And I do think I'll say this. I think that Zilla Fatu is someone that I've been watching a little more of his GCW stuff this past couple weeks, and he's someone that I always kind of thought was like not good, and he's kind of surprised me a little bit in some of his most recent matches. Okay, he's not bad, but obviously that's neither here nor there, because whether or not someone is good or not doesn't necessarily mean they're getting signed. But I do think I could see him getting signed. I think he's been teasing stuff on social media about, putting things like "I'll see you soon" and stuff like that on Twitter and Instagram. So I think that's possible, just because he's had. He's teased at it, but he's also like, it's also just, these wrestlers, they tease stuff all the time. How many times have we said, it's the Friday morning before SmackDown, and someone will post something cryptic that make people think they're going to be showing up at a show, and then they don't actually show up.
Yeah, it happens plenty enough that, obviously he didn't actually show up on the screen, so obviously didn't turn out to be that way, but I still think that it's possible that he'll be showing up in your neighborhood soon with WWE, because he's not, like, as we pointed out last week, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Jacob Fatu. We were talking about Jacob last week, right? And I think your point was that he is going to be the best member in ring of the bloodline. Is that what you had said?
Yes.
And I think that is very accurate for what we're seeing so far. With Zilla, is that he is actually not that bad of a wrestler at all. And I think that he could show off pretty well in WWE, in the bloodline.
Yeah. I think we're looking at a situation where he could go, but I will say this: I do think that maybe there's this sense that they're they're doing too much too fast. So if he does go, I can see maybe them waiting a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because they have been bringing a lot of people to storyline. Obviously they had Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, they brought in Jacob Fatu. I mean, at some point, you maybe got to pump the brakes a little bit, otherwise it just becomes, a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I think I could see him coming in, but maybe just not yet.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. Yeah. So let's see how the people of a WrestleWatch tier list decide. Oh yeah, where do you think you'd put him on the tier list then?
I'm kind of 50-50 on him, to be honest, right now. I think I've as we're talking this through.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame that I can't vote after we talk these out, because this is one where it's like I really kind of had different thoughts on. I'm all over the map, so I think I might be C tier now, but I don't even remember what I voted after this discussion.
Well, I mean, what you're saying now might be the thing that matters, honestly.
Yeah.
So let me look and see if it actually does matter for calculation purposes if you change your vote. This is great radio here on WrestleWatch.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the deciding vote. So Doug, should he be in C tier or should he be in B tier? You have the deciding vote.
You know what? I think we made some strong cases. Let's put him in. Let's put him in B tier. Let's do the B tier.
Great, because that's the graphic that I already had prepared.
Yeah.
He's in B tier. Yeah, so Zilla is gonna debut up in B tier with us here. It's gonna be fun to see what happens with him. I think that it's possible that we'll see him soon enough in WWE, and that's what our committee compatriots also thought. So this is the final look of the tier list this week, because as you all know, Z and Zilla is the last letter of the alphabet. So this is what our tier list is looking like now. We have
go ahead.
I'm gonna read it for the people who are in audio. So S tier we have Camille and Motor City Machine Guns. A tier we have Hikuleo and Ricochet. That's the other one. Hikuleo is probably coming in too. So there's a lot of people coming in for the Bloodline story.
Yeah.
B tier we have Grizzled Young Veterans, Ricky Starks, Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Alex Windsor, Leo Rush, Dijak, and Zilla Fatu. C tier we have Sheamus, Trevor Lee, Speedball Mike Bailey, Mustafa Ali, the Von Erichs, Danhausen, the WWE to NXT partnership, Megan Bayne, MXM. D tier we have Dustin Rhodes, Jinder Mahal, Tekla, Kevin Owens, Natalia, Benjamin, Becky Lynch, Katsuhiko Nakajima, Viva Van, and then the AEW leaving Warner Brothers Discovery and going somewhere else. And then the F tier is Sari, Tommy Hayashishita, Hook, El Phantasmo, Buddy Matthews, Kato Kiyomiya. You could move the screen. Let me see. I need the rest of the F tier. Oh, and then Michael Oku,
Jake Hager, Jack
Hager, Jake Lee, and then Street Profits.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the tier list now. Did you want to chat still about the AEW, their meteorites?
You know what? Let's hold off on that a week. Okay. Next week, let's talk about meteorites. I think
some people think that they're going to get their deal this week.
Do you want to talk about it then?
I kind of do.
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's do it.
Okay, so some people think that they're going to get their meteorites this week announced because Tony Khan seems very happy. There was a report from Fightful Select that said that they're still in talks and that AEW has been the one holding out. I think that they're not going to announce the meteorites this week. And I think that people are reading way too much into things. Personally.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting meteorites announced this week either. I don't think it's getting announced until they announce something with the NBA, personally.
That's exactly what my
And-
thought is. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. It's like they don't need. I believe that they pretty much have this. They have like I think AEW has a deal on the table already, and I think that for the most part, I think Andrew Zarian more or less said this, that the TV portion is pretty much like set. Like they know what they have a deal. They're comfortable with that for everything. It's the pay-per-view side and the tape library that has been the one that's sort of the issue.
Yeah.
So I think we could see a situation where the TV stays Warner Brothers Discovery, and maybe the pay-per-views go elsewhere. That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
I think it could be a situation where the television rights could be. Maybe they are holding out on the rights a little bit, just because I think that I really believe that AEW right now is in a situation where they have the leverage, they have the power, they can walk away if they want, and they can go somewhere else. And frankly, I think that's why they're holding out so long and getting close to the window where they can negotiate with others. And I think it's in AEW's best interest to maybe just let it go that far.
Yeah, that's my feeling on it. Yeah, go ahead.
Like the idea that, because there's these people who are saying like, well, if they do that, Warner Brothers Discovery might come back with less money. And it's like, what negotiating world do you live in where that would ever happen? It's like they're not going to like say, okay, we're going to give you 125 million a year. They go into free agency and talk to other people, and then suddenly they lower the price, because I don't think that works that way. And especially in a situation where I genuinely believe that there would be other suitors. And frankly, I think they know that there are other suitors. Otherwise, they wouldn't be waiting this long.
Yeah, that's the crux of it for me, and maybe we'll keep it on a little bit of a little teaser to talk about it more next week, especially if the rights don't get announced, or if they do get announced. We're probably going to talk about it next week in full lengthily.
Last week we made predictions on what the Wembley main event was going to be.
Yeah, I was about to say what you're going to say. Yes, go ahead.
So we should make predictions on what we think the rights will be.
Yeah. So first question then is, will they announce the TV rights this week?
No.
No, that's my answer too. Okay. You go with your second question then.
All right. I think that I'll say this. I think that the TV rights, I'll say the rights in general. Like I'll include like pay-per-view and all that. I think the rights for everything combined. So for streaming, for for the pay-per-views, for all the TV shows, all the content, all AEW content. If you added it all up, I think it's going to break down to 175 million a year.
Where do you think that they're going to sign?
I think they'll stay with WGB.
Okay. I think
as far as the pay-per-views, I think that could go somewhere elsewhere, but I'm still kind of leaning towards WGB.
I think that we're talking about this as at the end of the year where they're gonna be on TV next year. My gut is saying Warner Brothers, and it's saying 180, and that it will. That's the next question: is will it include Ring of Honor? I'm gonna say it will include Ring of Honor, and that I think that they're going to make Rampage the third hour of Dynamite and Ring of Honor the third hour of Collision.
Okay. Yeah, I will say I do think Dynamite's going to 3 hours. I'll say that too.
I don't think that Dynamite is going to 3 hours. I think that they're going to move Rampage to be the third hour on Wednesday nights.
Okay, yeah, but the point is, I think there's going to be 3 hours on Wednesday, though. I will say that.
Yeah. But I do have the sneaky feeling, and this is why I'm going to actually say my prediction for posterity, for us to look back and laugh at me, is that they're going to go to Disney.
Okay.
That's my take. That's my hot take for the internet to clip.
Okay. And then also last week I predicted that the main event was going to be Swerve and Danielson for Wembley.
I believe you said that. Yeah,
I did say
yeah,
that's
okay.
what I said.
I said Osprey Danielson.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. On June 30th, 2024, 1 week later, I think it was a week ago, or was it 1 week or 2 weeks ago? I don't remember which week we did this, but I'm going to now predict that I'm wrong. And I think that especially if this wild card that we're going to have on Wednesday, if the wild card is Hangman Page, I think the main event is going to be Swerve versus Hangman. I think Hangman is winning the tournament if that's the case.
Yeah. I'm feeling less confident now in Osprey being the world champion by All In. Of course, just for people that are listening to the podcast audio feed of this, we're recording this the morning of Forbidden Door, so we, if you're hearing this after Forbidden Door happens, you're probably laughing at me right now because I don't think Swerve is gonna lose. Just the way that the story has been told at the end there, it seems like Swerve is gonna win. So in that case, yeah, it does seem like it's gonna be Swerve versus Hangman.
Maybe it could still be Danielson. I think it's Swerve versus Danielson is the second most likely outcome. And they could do that. Maybe they'll save the save Hangman's feud with him. Because I think they are going to go back to the feud since they have such great chemistry.
But I do think that it's possible then that I still think that it's possible that Osprey Danielson happens at All In.
I'll be honest. I think that. You know what? I think maybe they could do a thing. I mean, granted, we're doing this fantasy booking stuff that I know we don't normally do, but hey, we're having fun right now and this up. So they could do Danielson Swerve at Wembley, where obviously Swerve wins, and maybe they eventually. I would say honestly, I think Hangman should be the person who takes the belt off Swerve.
Yeah, probably.
I would do that right away. So maybe they wait on that.
Well,
that's the direction I would go.
Well, tonight's Forbidden Door, so we will probably have a great idea of where things are heading in around 24 hours from now, or 12 hours from now, really. But yeah, I think that that's going to wrap us up for this week's episode of WrestleWatch. Hopefully, everybody that's watching on the stream had a good time. And we will be getting this off to the audio format, so if you're listening to this on audio, great, because that was the format you were listening to anyway, so congrats. Make sure to follow us on all of our social platforms, such as the YouTube, such as the Twitter, subscribe to the feed, and all those kinds of things.
Yes, and I apologize if I did have an echo. We'll mess with the audio and see if we can get that fixed for next time if that's an issue.
Yeah. All right, well, with that, I'm Ryan. This has been WrestleWatch. Hope you all have a good week.
And I'm Doug. Have a good one, everyone.
All right, see ya, everybody.
Recording stopped.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.